In the depth of the wild forest, Ike stood bleeding, his spear slick with sweat and blood, eyes trained on the ferocious lion. The beast snarled, muscles rippling as it stalked forward, its eyes gleaming in the dim light. Ike staggered, breaths coming shallow as he prepared for what could be his last stand. Just then, a wild, determined bark echoed through the trees. The mongrel dog, his only companion, sprang out, sinking her teeth into the lion's back with the courage born of something far beyond instinct. Adatna had only gone to the river to wash away the grime of the day, her mind elsewhere, lost in thoughts of duty and family obligations. She'd barely paid attention to the old man with the ragged dog on the riverbank path until she realized he was watching her. Rage fled. Without thinking, she snatched a stone and hurled it, her voice sharp with contempt. "Shameless man!" The stone missed, but the mongrel dog bolted, yanking its leash from the old man's grip and disappearing into the trees. Only when Adatna stormed closer did she see the man's sightless eyes staring blankly, his face calm but weary. Her anger drained, replaced by guilt, and she stammered out an apology. But the old man's voice was gentle as he spoke words that chilled her to her bones. "If you do not bring back my dog, you will share its fate until you learn the meaning of sacrificial love." Confused, Adatna entered the forest, hoping to make things right by finding the runaway mongrel. She searched until dusk fell, but the forest gave her no trace of the dog. Defeated, she returned to the river's edge, but the old man was gone. That night, she stumbled home exhausted, eager only for the oblivion of sleep. Her family buzzed with preparations for the next day when a suitor, a man she'd never met, was due to arrive. But Adatna barely made it to her bed before collapsing into sleep, missing supper, her head heavy with strange dreams. When she woke in the morning, she felt different. Her stomach growled and her tongue felt thick in her mouth. Moving toward the kitchen, she saw her mother and tried to call out. But instead of words, only a rough bark escaped her throat. Shocked, she tried again, moving forward, but her mother shrieked, grabbing a stick to chase her away. Adatna yelped in pain, backing away, her mind reeling. She fled, but the villagers' sharp gazes followed her. Her family searched frantically, calling her name, yet no one saw her as anything other than a stray, bothersome dog. As the suitors' party arrived, Adatna watched in anguish, yearning to tell them the truth. But when the groom began to insult her family, a fierce animal anger surged through her, and she lunged, hoping to bite the arrogant man. But a sharp kick sent her sprawling, the shouts and stones of her family driving her back into the forest. At the riverbank, Adatna finally understood the old man's curse. She stared at her reflection, a battered, weary mongrel dog with matted fur and one injured leg, and whimpered. Curling up in the shade, she drifted into restless sleep, wondering if she'd ever be free again. Days blurred together. Adatna survived on scraps, hiding from the villagers, until one day a stranger found her. Ike, a reclusive hunter with a kind but hardened face, spotted her asleep and slipped a rope around her neck. She barked, tried to scare him away, but he only chuckled, amused at her bravado, and dragged her back to his little hut on the edge of the forest. At first she resisted, snapping at him whenever he drew too close. But exhaustion took its toll. He brought her water, and when her thirst became unbearable, she drank. When he shared roasted bushmeat, she gave in, biting into it as he laughed at her eagerness. Days turned to weeks. and Diana's resentment softened. Ike spoke to her each evening as if she were human, sharing stories of his father who had vanished in the wild forest and of his own fierce desire to face the same lion that had taken his father's life. Diana listened, the two sharing a quiet companionship that dulled the ache of her curse. She felt safe with him, her life as a dog almost bearable. But one day, Ike announced he would hunt the lion. Diana backed frantically, trying to warn him, but his mind was set. Resigned, she followed him into the forest, not willing to leave him to face such danger alone. Together they tracked the lion, and soon Ike's blood mingled with the earth as he lured the beast onto a cliff. But the lion was ruthless, clever, and Ike was failing. Desperation clawed at her heart. With a final surge of courage, she lunged at the lion, her jaws sinking into its flank, her grip fierce and unyielding. In the lion's struggle, it lost its footing, slipping from the cliff edge, taking her with it. When Diana awoke, she was lying on the riverbank, her human body bruised and weak. Her family's voices surrounded her, frantic and amazed. They'd believed her lost for over a year. She was rushed back to the village, the story of her rescue by a fisherman quickly taking root. Yet all Diana could think of was Ike. After her wounds healed, she slipped from her family's house and made her way to his hut. She found him there, wounded, mourning, and alone. Ike looked up, confused but clearly moved by her presence. She stayed, caring for him, watching his pain fade as he came to know her as Diana, the woman. In time, love grew between them, strong and unspoken, grounded in the trust and sacrifices they had unknowingly shared. Though she never told Ike of her time as the mongrel, he could sense something deeper in their bond. And as they sat together, side by side in quiet companionship, Diana knew she had finally broken the curse. Like, follow and subscribe for more amazing stories